Hey everybody, Will here from MachineLovus.com, here with another in the series on a Casper writing app, what I'm calling an NLP production model that will be deployed to the web. Today is all about deployment, and we haven't finished building our app, but we need to think about deployment because we need to think about how this thing that we're building is going to be served on the web. And there are different solutions that you can use. You can use AWS. We've been using AWS for our data scraping and storage in CloudWatch of a table. That's still running in the background because we set it up on a cron. That's in a different video if you want to check that out. This video is about deployment. And for deployment, instead of using AWS, which is a perfectly legitimate choice, I'm going to use Heroku. Now, deployment has its own set of issues. It's really its own domain, typically called DevOps, and those people have really great salaries. I highly encourage you to get into DevOps if this sort of thing intrigues you, because it's not going away and it's not very easy, although things like Heroku make it a lot easier, and that's why we're going to use it. Heroku can get pricey if you get onto their plans, their monthly plans, but that is sort of a problem that you get when you start building something that you really believe in. So if you want to host something that's very unique, in our case it's a Flask VueJS product, then eventually we might start paying monthly for it. This video, we're not going to pay anything. We're going to use their free tier, and I'll give you a sense of what it's like to deploy our Flask VueJS app to the web. Okay, so this is Heroku, and we're going to come back to this, but this is what we're going to use for deployment. To actually get our app deployed, we've been working on it, but I'm going to transition over to using a template for deployment and pulling the parts of the code that we've been building into this template. It so happened that when I went to try to deploy the thing that we've been working on, there's a lot of little things that were very frustrating to overcome, and I eventually couldn't. So I took those bits of the app and moved them into this Flask VueJS template by this G Talarico. I'm sorry, I am butchering that name. But this is Flask VueJS template that can be quickly deployed to Heroku, and it's what I'll use to get this up on the web. Okay, so what's nice about this template, it's Flask VueJS, that's what we've picked as our stack. It's Flask REST Plus, that's what another piece that we've picked. It has PyTest, it has a PyTest test suite. We hadn't even started talking about tests in these videos. A lot of different things with Vue that we haven't even touched yet, and then it's Heroku configured. This person also has a live demo that you can visit, Flask VueJS template, and this is what it looks like. They have their API, you fetch their resource, and it works. Okay, so let's get this up. If you haven't signed up for Heroku, if you haven't got that installed, you'll want to go through and get what's called the Heroku CLI. You could just search for that. We'll need it to work on the command line. So I'm going to switch over to the command line now, but essentially what I'm going to be doing is using this Heroku CLI. So go through the Heroku client, go through, download and install it, verify, get your credentials if you don't have them. Okay, now let's transition over to following the directions on this Flask plus VueJS template, and let's get something deployed on the free tier of Heroku. Okay, so I have things installed with Casper. I created a new directory called Casper Writing. Let me blow this up. But put all of that aside now. Here I am in my repos. So what I'm going to do is just git clone this. Okay, so I've just git cloned this Flask VueJS template. Go through and take a look at this. It's really neat how this is set up, really easy to follow. What's nice is that you can run PyTest on the tests and see that the developer set up PyTest. Let's see, my tests did not run. I think because I haven't set my Python path. Oh, I see. I can't run the test yet until I yarn install. So you need to set up a virtual environment, install the dependencies, and activate it. So why don't we do that? So let me go back and just get rid of my environment that I've been using and just do this from scratch. You know what? I'll just start over. So there's no virtual environment on me now. I'm still using Fish. I still like Fish shell, but I don't have anything installed locally. So just follow these very clear instructions that the developer has laid out. If you don't have pip environment, you might need to get that. I was using a different virtual environment manager. There are different kinds of different things of environments that you can set up. Okay, that's installed. So we have our virtual environment installed. This will go through now and create a virtual environment. Okay, so this is done installing. It says to activate, run pip and shell, which is fantastic. This is what I wanted. Okay, so now you can see we have this environment set up. Let me try. I shouldn't have IPython installed, but I do have Python 3.6.3. This is what we've been working with. Which Python will tell us where Python is coming from. It's coming from our Flask VueJS template. Okay, now we need to yarn install. So yarn is a JavaScript package manager. This is another one of those installation screens. But you'll see that this is the only thing that we need to do to get this entire template up and running locally. Now I'm going to split this because I need to run yarn and I need to run the Python server. So yarn will run the front end and Python will run the API. So while that's installing, I'm going to cd into Flask VueJS template. I'm going to pip and run, should be. No, maybe shell. Right, shell is the right word. So yarn is still working up here and I actually finished. So now I should be able to run the test. So let's see if that runs. PyTest tests. And we are all good. This is a new version of PyTest, but everything ran. So test API, test CLI. So why don't I see if I can make one of those tests fail and see what it looks like. Test API. And so you can check in Sublime, you can take a look at these tests. I'm going to, on one of these tests, assert false. Okay, that will definitely make this fail. when I run PyTest on the tests, 7 pass, 1 failed. I get a little X here. That's all good. Let me put that test back. I am not a I don't grok Vim as well as I'd like to. There's a great resource called what's it called? Vim Adventures, where you can learn more. Okay, and it's a nice client interface for learning Vim, if you'd like to do that. Otherwise, use Sublime. Okay, so our test pass, we have everything installed, so we should be able to do python run.py. I have a socket in use because I was doing this before. Let me kill everything. I'm just killing everything else that was running. Okay, so that works. Yarn, you run yarn serve, not yarn server, yarn serve. That will fire up the front end. And you'll need to build the modules, I think, the first time you do this. It should direct automatically. And so locally we have this, which is great, which is what the website was. And you can see I'm fetching secure. What's nice about this is Flask REST Plus. So what we can do is we can actually visit our Python server route and see the docs that are generated via Swagger. I think it should be located at API. Let's see. They should be auto-generated, which they are. And so you could see the get and post endpoints here. And you can interact with them. I think I've done that in a prior video. Okay, so let's make sure you all believe me. What I'm going to do is open this with Sublime. Well, so this is the structure of the folder. Let me back out for a second. Okay, here I am in Sublime. I have my modified version that I'm calling Casper Writing. So Casper is our initial repository. It has a lot of the data scraping that we've done. It also has the Flask REST Plus app. This Casper Writing is the app that we'll actually deploy. You don't want to put dashes in your app. It just gets tricky. So I suggest using underscores. This Flask Vue-JS template has dashes in it, and it makes it difficult to work with in Heroku. I think. I'll maybe explain why more later on. But anyway, what I'm going to do is modify this. So if you look at the structure of this, you have the app, which is where the API lives. If you want to mess with the templates, that's going to be in source. Here are the components, hello world view. I think, here we go. Welcome to your VueJS Flask app. So let's click up a Casper Heroku deployment. I'm just going to make a small modification. Run that again. Yarn serve. And when I go back here, Casper Heroku deployment. Okay, so let's get this thing deployed. So what is also great about this is it has a bit on the deployment process. So like I said, you'll want the Heroku CLI installed. But once you have that installed, you're essentially following the directions here. So you can't use this Flask VueJS template demo name. You have to come up with your own. Let's just call it demo. I have my Heroku app, my Heroku client installed, so it creates this app very quickly. Git remote. I'm going to call it the same thing. Machine Lava demo. Okay. All of this really is just following these directions. Okay, now we're just gonna set these super secret keys. You'll want to actually set something that's secret. Okay, so all I did was run these commands located on this page, and then I'm going to git push Heroku, and when I do that, it's going to start building and deploying it. So this will very quickly be available for us on the web. It has to build Yarn, it has to install those dependencies. Now, what you can also do is, once you've signed up with Heroku, you'll get a dashboard. Okay, so I have these apps that I was playing around with. I have a demo Pokédex that I never finish with Bouquet. If you'll want to see me finish building out a Pokédex with Bouquet Python library, let me know in the comments. But you'll notice that now in my older dashboard, when we looked at it, I didn't have this Machine Levas demo. Now it's building. You can sort of go and check it out. You can provision add-ons like a Postgres database, which we will do because we want users signing up for our app. I chose Heroku a little bit because of how cheap it is to get a free tier and to get it up and running, and how easy it is to get up and running. The Postgres database is cheaper. Normally I'd use Mongo, but that is more expensive, so we are going to use Postgres for our users. We're using Mongo to scrape data and to build our machine learning models. Okay, so this is deployed, and so what you could do is Heroku tails -- log. I know this is not a Heroku command. Okay, actually you want to do, what you can do is Heroku's logs tail the logs, get the end of the logs. And what you'll see, let me scoot back out, are deployment logs. So if there was a problem, I spend a lot of time on these logs because I'm building out, once you move away from the template and you do things in your app, you'll likely start crashing it. And these logs will become invaluable to you to try and figure out what's going on. But these are the logs. Essentially, the local logs that you'd see are right there. And you can either go via dashboard or right here, open app. This is now on the web, visible to anybody. Welcome to your VueJS plus Casper app. Backend resources demo. I wonder why this isn't, oh, you know what it is? I need to yarn build. We made a change to the that front end, this, welcome to your VueJS Flask app. Instead we said that, what did we say? Casper Heroku deployment. So I need to yarn build to get that those assets I need to compile, I guess, those assets. I need to register the change in my dist folder. So git commit change in index, changing homepage message. Okay, and then, wow, that's kind of interesting. Okay, so git push Heroku will now start building, starting a new build. Okay, so we made a change to our app. So here it is deployed, machinelovusdemo.herokuapp.com. It's live, but we made a change. We wanted to change this message. So to do that, I needed to do yarn build, which will compile the resources, the JavaScript essentially resources, which you won't do if you change the server. You'll just commit those via, Okay, so what I'm watching here is the remote build that's happening via Heroku, and I monitor it via this client. So this is all very easy to get up and running. The DevOps confounds me sometimes. It's very frustrating. It can be very frustrating when you don't know what's going on and you just want to get your app deployed. You spent so much time working on it. You just want to get it live. Okay, notice this is version 6 of our deployment. If I go Heroku logs, spell Heroku correctly, Heroku logs tail, I can see that my new build succeeded and that it's up. Okay, so here it is, Casper Heroku deployment. So I'm going to do one more thing. But essentially, that's it for this video. That's it for this video. So come back next time. Please like and subscribe. Helps me out. Helps me know that this stuff is worthwhile to you. That I'm not just talking into the void right now. So I made another change. Again, I made another change to yarn. I haven't worked on any of the Python in this video. But like and subscribe. In the next video, I'm going to get deeper into the REST Plus architecture. I've changed this template. Now I've pulled code from other videos, moved around in this template, and started work on the internals of this Flask REST Plus app. So in the next videos, we might go into some of those internals. Eventually, what we're going to do is take one of our models that we're building, the machine learning models that we're building, we can build them separately in IPython notebooks, and we can deploy them to Heroku via the web and have users interact with the models that we build. So we will be doing that in future videos. Thank you all for listening, and visit machinelovus.com.